All right, welcome everybody. We're back. Manalytics back here again. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff. David Brennan to my right. We're going to be talking a little bit more. I know we went over last week about our draft and how we did on that. We're going to dive into a couple of different topics. Jonathan Taylor trade news. He's requesting a trade this week. We had a couple of signings running back wise. What's that going to do to your draft? We got a couple of new segments we're going to implement into the podcast real quick and kind of go over some meaningful insight. So, Dave, how you doing today?
Hey man, I'm good. I'm excited, ready to get to it. Like you said, there's a ton of news. Lots of moving parts, and we're gonna, I'm looking forward to kind of hearing your take on how some of these moves will impact people's drafts. Especially as we enter prime time draft season. Here now with the season just a few weeks away.
Yeah, I've already had one draft last week. I got another one this week, so draft season's on its way. But a lot of moving parts, like you said. But this late in the season, you don't see it that often. Usually, teams have solidified their rosters for the most part, except for the cuts and stuff like that. But some big time signings. First thing, the big news out of Indianapolis this week, obviously, is Jonathan Taylor getting permission to seek out a trade. They had the big issue with Jim Irsay, him screwing up and pissing off one of his best players. Is what it is. I'm fine with it. Gets him out of he'll probably go to the NFC, so I'm not too worried. But so he's got till Tuesday to find a trade partner and get this knocked out. Apparently, there's between four to six teams that are interested, four that have given offers, if I'm not mistaken. So what about your take? What do you think? How do you think this is going to impact the market and the trade value, or not trade values, the fantasy values?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? The Colts have done a really good job of not making this a very Jonathan Taylor friendly situation. Like you said, it's super late into the preseason and into camps where you typically just don't see a lot of movement. At this stage, my guess is given the asking price of a first round or multiple trade picks that add up on Jimmy Johnson's trade chart to a first round pick, my guess is Indianapolis is doing this almost as like a negotiating tool to show Jonathan Taylor, hey, look, nobody's going to pay this much for you. We couldn't even get a first round pick back for you, and you know, and now you want us to still give you $12-15 million, whatever he's asking for. I think that's what Jim Irsay's angle is here. Because if you wanted to move off of him, you could have done that before the draft. You knew he was going to hold out. You knew he wasn't happy with his contract situation. This wasn't new news. So I think it's gotten to the point where I don't necessarily think divorce is imminent. Between the two, but we'll get into that later. Once we talk through some teams. But I think that's the Colts' position. Is try to show Jonathan Taylor that, hey, there's just not that much value in running backs. Nobody wanted to give up a first round and pay you, so sign the tag.
I'm curious. I heard the same thing. They want a first round pick or the value of a first round pick that adds up. I want to see this calculator. Can I give you a fourth, a sixth, and a seventh? Because that's close to adding up. I mean, if you want to add them all up, I guess that's close to a first, right? I don't know what their calculator looks like, but I mean, he's a top back. He's in his prime. Yeah, you're going to have to pay him a little bit, but I mean, for a contender, I know we were talking earlier, let's just look at a few teams that possibly might be interested. To me, one of the best situations, and it's going to hurt me because I took Madison, but Minnesota might be a good trade partner for him. I mean, that offense is primed. I don't know if they'll have the cap space for it or if they're going to have to finagle a little bit, but I mean, Jefferson on the left, Addison on the right. Now they got Hawkinson. Just putting Taylor in that situation is just, the line's not terrible. I mean, Kirk Cousins can't F that up in the playoffs now, can he? That's just not I don't think that's feasible, but who knows? It's Kirk Cousins. But as far as fantasy value, it's not going to help you if you take Taylor because there's so many mouths to feed in that situation. That's not going to be that number one. You know, in Indianapolis, he was the rock getter. Like there was nobody backing him up really. Like that's going to be a big piece. But Minnesota, I think they'll trade for him, but that's going to affect him negatively in the fantasy value, and I don't think that's going to be a big help to a lot of people who are drafting this weekend. But I don't know who do you think is a top target that might go get him?
So that's an interesting spot, like Minnesota. Because Madison is what he is. I mean, they seem to like him. So I don't know if Taylor goes there. Does he assume the Dalvin Cook role, and Madison's relegated again to, a relief pitcher, so to speak, or do they go into like to a timeshare? I don't know. So that'd be interesting. I think you're probably right. If he goes to Minnesota, it's a downgrade.
Preseason and everything. You like Madison until the top rusher of the league 2 years ago becomes available, though. I mean, that switches it up a little bit.
Yeah, and they're contenders. Like you said. So it'd be a great landing spot. It could be one of those things. With better real life signing than drafters. You bring up. You brought up a good point. Hey, what do we do? Most people are probably drafting on over the weekend. So you said you wouldn't take him first round. In our draft that we did, just as a reminder to everybody, we did our draft last episode. You can check it out. Jonathan Taylor went 8th overall, and we tried to do the draft as if everything was in place. But there's, I don't know if he would still go 8th overall if he was actually on a team or what. So I think that's still the right spot for him. If I'm in the back end of the first round and it gets to me, and I'm a guy that wants a running back over a wide receiver, I'm still taking him because no matter where he lands, I think he's gonna produce numbers. He's gonna be motivated. It's gonna be a good situation in terms of he'll probably have a good offensive line. He'll have a team with weapons where he probably won't be. He'll most likely have a good quarterback because he's gonna go to a contender. He's not gonna go to the Arizona Cardinals.
If he wants a good offensive line, Miami's not the place to go. But that's obviously Tua will tell you that. That's ask Tua how he feels about his offensive line after the last season. But so you're telling me I took him 8th because I had the even pick. So you let him at least fall to 8. So you're telling me if he had fell to 9, you would have taken him there.
Yeah, I took Josh Jacobs with the next pick.
Okay, but you would have taken Taylor instead, is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, so Taylor over Jacob. Okay, that's fair. So he's still in the first round. If I had, like I said, I had a chance to. If I had a chance to draft him, I probably would have passed and stuck with Saquon and who I initially took because Saquon's in a contract year. The offense looks a little bit better with Waller and Jones is coming along. I think I'll let you take Taylor on that one with the ups because who knows what's going. For one, he's coming off of an injury, so that's not going to help anything. Yes, he's healthy now, but he's coming off of that injury last season. Just out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen again. It could, it wasn't a lingering injury that could linger into this season, so he's clear of that. But I mean, that's part of the risk, not knowing where he's going to go. Yeah, I'll let you take him 9.
All this mandate says to me is that he's playing this year one way or the other. Whereas if you drafted last week and you were in a regular draft, maybe people let him fall further because they weren't sure if he was going to play or not. Like now he's definitely going to play, whether it's for another team or whether it's for Indianapolis. Like he's not going to have any options after Tuesday other than sit out, and he's not going to do that because that's just not, it just doesn't make sense to do that. So it tells me he's going to play somewhere. So if it's the back half of the first round, I'll take him.
Okay, fair enough.
And by back half, or I should say back third. So 7 and beyond, I'll take them. 5 or 6, you could still probably get a Chubb maybe or a Barkley. So definitely do that. But 7 down, I'm taking them.
Yeah, if you could take Chubb before him, absolutely. That's not a question. And Saquon, I agree too. I don't disagree unless he completely goes off the rail and's like, no, my integrity matters, and I'm not playing for an owner. And then they just play chicken, and all of a sudden he doesn't play, which, like you said, I doubt will happen. But Irsay is a crazy owner, man. You don't know what pills he's taking this week, so honestly, we have no idea what he's doing. But nonetheless, you're right. He's still a good pick. Just me personally, I don't want to. There's players in that first round, depending on how big the draft is, too. If it's a 14-team draft, then yeah, I'll take Taylor in the first round. But second round for me is where I'd be more comfortable with. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see where he lands.
That's a good point. So 7 on is in a 10-team draft. If you're in a 12-team draft, just add 2 spots. So ninth round on, if you're or ninth pick on. If you're in a 14 draft, actually, you know what? If you're in a 14 team, I'd probably still go 9. Maybe in a 12 team, you go 8 or more. But that's how I would do it.
Yeah, the bigger the draft, the more value you have with those players, because it's like there's so many players being drafted in that first round, and then you have to wait for it to come back to you. I mean, yeah, 9 I think is good in a 14-team draft. In a 10-team draft, I'll wait till that second round because I think he'll swing back to me, but we'll see. But yeah, good insight on Taylor. I don't want to talk too much because obviously the Colts are irrelevant this season, but
irrelevant to somebody out there.
All right, so let's dive right into some new news that just recently came up last week that we didn't touch base on yet. A couple of running back signings to AFC East teams that kind of affect fantasy values a little bit. We're going to start with your team. Dalvin Cook coming into the New York Jets. I didn't see that one coming. I thought for sure he was going to Miami. They had a match made in heaven in Miami. Fell apart. Not sure what happened. Decided to go with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. What's your take on Dalvin to the Jets?
Super Bowl, baby. Super Bowl. that is my take. He is running back that gets us over the top, but I'm sure you probably mean from a fantasy perspective. So now I think
you being a Jets fan, like you said, you've had some miserable times as a Jets fan, so
yeah,
you're excited. I get it.
I've been a Jets fan my whole life, so it's been it's been a rough life. Not a lot of positive notes in there until now. Until now, baby, we get Dalvin, and so here's the thing. The Dalvin Cook signing is a better real life signing than a fantasy football signing. What I mean by that is, the Jets getting Dalvin Cook, it allows them to bring, Breece Hall back slowly. He's recovering from a torn ACL, which unless you're Adrian Peterson, typically takes more than, typically takes at least like 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So Breece tore it, I think like week 6 last year. So it hasn't been a full year yet. So they get to bring him back slowly, ease him. They get to ease him into it, so it doesn't have to handle full workload. And Dalvin Cook is an awesome running back. He's coming off, a healthy year, over 1,000 yards. But from a fantasy perspective, if you draft Dalvin Cook, trade him within the first 4 weeks of the season. Because he's gonna have some really good weeks early on because he's going to be getting the bulk of the carries. Michael Carter's still there for the Jets, but he didn't show much when Breece Hall was out. Of course they had probably 13 guys in the box because Zach Wilson was back there.
Yes. Way to give poor Michael a shot. Jesus, man.
So I would say draft out if you draft Dalvin. Trade him in the first after 2-3 weeks of solid production, because once Breece Hall comes back, it's going to be more of a timeshare. Breece Hall is too good to sit on the bench, and if you ride your whole season thinking Dalvin's going to be your RB1, by the end of the year he'll be a flex. In my opinion, at best, assuming health of Breece Hall. So I would that would be my take. Jeff, what about you?
I hate the signing. I really do, personally, just because it affects our team quite a bit in that division. That's such a tough division. From a fantasy standpoint, it's hard because you don't really know. So let's take a look. You don't really know where to draft him at this point because, again, like you said, and unless everybody's not intelligent in your draft, because Breece Hall went in the 4th round. I think you took Dalvin in the 6th. Since this news, I think that's going to affect it a little bit, and it's going to cause that to be a little bit higher. I think that's going to go more to like the 4th round now, where Breece Hall should have been going. I don't like it. I don't like taking Dalvin in the 4th round because I get your idea of it, how, okay, he gets some production in the beginning of the season. Then all of a sudden, oh, look, you're going to find a trade partner and trade him away at his all-time peak, and then you're good to go, except for the fact there's so much risk in finding a trade partner in the first 4 weeks. There's so many more options that you can go with. And like I said, that's a crowded backfield. Not to mention, they're not going to be running the ball all that much. For starters, let's be honest, the Jets' offensive line, not a fan. I thought they should be good. Vera Tucker, Mekhi Becton, Fant on the right side, I think it was. Like, you guys should have been good with an offensive line. Not the greatest. They need some work. But they got Rodgers for a reason. He's going to be flinging the ball around. Garrett Wilson, nah. Zach Wilson couldn't screw that up. I mean, maybe he could. But, I mean, I just don't see a lot of value, especially in a timeshare. They still have Carter. I think they're going to trade Carter away pretty early on because I think in a good situation, Michael Carter's got some talent he can put together. Even Zonovan Knight. I mean, he wasn't terrible either. Like, he came through when Breece, kind of fell apart a little bit. He had some flashes. Not great, but, he's got some flashes. Yeah, I wouldn't touch Dalvin. And I would still keep him around that 6th round range. If he's going in the 4th round, pass on that. Just my personal opinion. I don't see his value being all that great. And once Breece Hall comes back, Breece Hall was going to be Rookie of the Year before Garrett Wilson took that over. But, I injury or not, I stick with Breece Hall on that one. So I'm not too.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you just said it, like the Jets would have had, just have 2 Rookie of the Years, basically.
Three. 2 on offense.
Yeah, it's true. 2 on offense, and Sauce Gardner, and
that's unbelievable. The drafting they did was absolutely unbelievable last season. That was insane. Good for them.
Yeah, Joey D's done some great things. He just happened to miss on the 2 most important positions, quarterback and left tackle. But other than that, he's nailed it. Like, I got no qualms. So
I mean, in fairness, who is he gonna? I mean, yeah, maybe he could have taken Justin Fields, but who is he gonna take with the 2nd pick? You guys screwed that up by losing and not getting Trevor Lawrence, or by winning and not getting Trevor Lawrence. That's on you guys.
That's what we do. But what we should have done, and I was saying this all throughout the draft, is we should have traded that number 2 pick, rolled with Sam Darnold, and because now you would have seen Sam Darnold with some talent around him, and if he sucks because he's not the guy, you're gonna be you would have been in a great position to draft high again and move up and take your guy next year, only with more draft picks. So I was beaten on the
guy next year.
Huh? Well, not next year. Not next year now, but next year then. So
the next year was Kenny Pickett. You wanted Kenny Pickett?
No, but if he's not there, he's not there. Then you can trade your pick again, and you would have had more value, and you could have, then you could have given Darnold a chance to succeed. He didn't really have much of a chance to succeed. So I would have rolled the dice there, and because I was not a fan of Zach Wilson coming out of BYU, the toughest opponents that they had, he played like crap. He just did nothing to wow me. But anyway,
he gave me Johnny Manziel vibes for sure.
Yeah, he's a stubborn.
He was a cocky kid. Looked like he came from a rich family.
His uncle founded JetBlue.
He doesn't need it.
Yeah, he doesn't need it, and you can even see it on Hard Knocks. Like Aaron Rodgers was the first episode of Hard Knocks. Aaron Rodgers is going through motions with him and showing him how to go through progressions. And Zach says, "Yeah, but when is that really ever going to happen?" Like
it blew me away. Blew me away when I saw that. Like, I was like, you've got a Hall of Fame in my opinion, a top 3 to 4 quarterback of all time, about to give you insight, and that's your response. Like, I don't know how they're even keeping him. That blew my mind when I heard that. Like, get the hell off of this team right away.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I was talking to some other people and they're like, "Oh, you're just, you don't like them, so you're just picking them apart. What are you, a psychiatrist?" I'm like, "No, but I have ears and I can see what he's doing." And even when he was making like Rogers said something about his bandana, and Wilson was like, "Oh, I got Dad's approval." Like I know he's trying to be funny, but like it's very sarcastic the way that he says it. It's not playful like Aaron Rodgers going up to his old coach and patting him on the stomach.
Yeah, that's different. Like, nonetheless, Zach Wilson, like I said, he gives me the Manziel vibes. Just his demeanor. He looks like such a baby faced kid. He just doesn't.
Not no.
Yeah, I want someone who's going to tough it out, like who's not from a rich family, who needs this, like Justin Fields. Justin Fields, I like that pick. I thought that was a good pick. And the Jets, I mean, they couldn't take him at 2 because obviously there was still Trey Lance and there was a whole big talk. They could have traded down, but yeah, I didn't like that pick. But they didn't have much of an option either. They had a lot of pressure to take a quarterback and land something. So
could have rolled with Darnold, and you would have been in the same position next year, only with a war chest of picks. But circling back to Cook, I just want to touch on this. So
yeah,
I wasn't recommending taking Cooks in the 4th. What I'm saying is somebody's going to be tempted out there, and somebody's going to take him because somebody's an idiot. So my recommendation is, if you do take him in the 4th round or sooner, just please realize your mistake. And the only way you get value out of that is by trading him early in the season before Breece comes 100% back. Is what's going to happen. And I get what you're saying about how you're risking it, from a draft partner. But here's what the other idiot that you're going to find in your league is going to think. Oh, well, Breece Hall's there and he's healthy and he's only getting 20% of the carries. And that idiot's not going to know that no, Breece Hall's actually not healthy. He's still rehabbing from an ACL. So there's going to be a sucker out there that thinks that it's Dalvin's job because the Jets are easing Breece Hall back.
Yeah, well, the other problem with your theory too is that the Jets' first 4 opponents are kind of tough, and aren't going to be very easy to go against. You guys got the Bills week 1. The Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys aren't the greatest defense, but they're not terrible. They're definitely above the middle of the pack.
Okay, so
you have us.
We're 2-0 so far. Okay, who's 3?
It's not even about the wins or losses. You might get wins out of those, but
Aaron Rodgers is going to have 4 touchdowns in the first half of each of those games, and they're going to use Dalvin Cook to salt away the win.
And then you have New England and then Kansas City. So, I mean, first Kansas City you could probably get away with. New England you're not getting away with.
So trade him after the New England game. He's probably going to rush for 120 yards against New England, 2 or 3 touchdowns. 72-10, I think, is probably a reasonable score. So trade him after the New England.
You're also forgetting the fact that Minnesota let Dalvin Cook go. There might be a reason behind that. We're not really sure. We haven't seen him practicing on Hard Knocks yet. He might have lost a step. His age is getting up there. Like, what? He's not old yet, but I mean,
28, 29.
I think he's like 28 or 29. So he's getting to that point. He's getting that 30 mark. We'll see.
I would trade him after the Buffalo game, because I think he's gonna have a good game that Buffalo game, and just because Cowboys do have a solid defense. I don't know how their run defense is, but obviously Michael
Lawrence is there. Parsons is wreaking havoc in the backfield. Like that's a tough one. Dallas is a tough defense to go with. But New England, come on, dude. If there's one thing you have to praise New England about, it's our defense. We have two starting defenses on the same defense. We can interchange people all day long, and we have a great defense. Our offense sucks like hell, but yeah, running against it's not going to be easy. So we'll see.
Macaroni Jones.
All right, fair enough.
So that's my recommendation is, if you like, because I agree. Like I took him in the 6th round in our draft because he didn't have a team, and so we couldn't project what team he was going to be on. So it's a little bit different. So I agree that ADP is going to move up. I wouldn't. I still think Sixth might even be too early in my opinion. But 7th or 8th round, go forward, take a shot in the dark. And then Breece Hall, if his ADP is at 3 or 4 now, I'd probably move him down to 5 or 6. So I'm staying away from that backfield unless I'm a 0 running back drafter. And even then, I don't. There's better 0 running back draft picks than either one of those two right now.
Okay, sweet. Now that we got all that stupid Jets talk out of the way, God knows we don't want to talk about them any longer. The other news this week, this last week coming out is Ezekiel Elliott signing with New England. I was mixed on this because obviously I'm a hardcore Patriots fan. I have Stevenson in a couple of leagues. I even did a redraft this last weekend and took him. Even though I knew Zeke was on the team now. Looking at it, it's gonna hurt Stevenson quite a bit, unfortunately. I had him pegged for some big things this season. I know they like some of their younger backs that they got, like Pierre Strong, but Ty Montgomery's there. I know they like his versatility, but honestly, Zeke is a good fit for us. I've been looking into it a little bit further. Apparently they're friends, so that's a good start. Stevenson and Zeke are good together there. He's really excited. And Zeke is one of the top touchdown backs since 2018. Like, he's up there in touchdowns, so he can definitely get that goal line work, which is going to take away from Stevenson, which I'm actually kind of happy about as a Patriots fan because Stevenson likes to fumble the ball at the freaking goal line and lose games to teams like the Bengals. But nonetheless, so hopefully, and Zeke doesn't have a fumbling problem, so that's going to be a big factor right off the bat. So I don't see him being the starting back, obviously. He's not taking his job, but he's definitely going to take away some of his productivity. Me personally, just as a Patriots fan, Stevenson, I think we had going late in the second round. I think it was like the 6th pick of the second round. I can't – God, that's tough. I can't justify getting him until probably the 3rd or 4th now, honestly. I picked him up in the 4th this last weekend. Glad he lasted that far. I think people are a little bit scared about that Zeke signing and letting him drop off a little bit. If you can get him in the 4th, he's still got value. He can still, catch out of the backfield a little bit. He's still going to get some numbers. I still even think he's going to get 1,000 yards. I think that's possible. Touchdown-wise, not going to be a lot. He's going to have to score from past 20 yards in order to get those touchdowns. But I still think he's got value over some other guys. He's still got value over Dalvin. I still would take him over Breece.
Stevenson?
Yeah, I still would take Stevenson over them. Just looking at our draft right now, let's see. We had him in the 3rd round, but I would land him more in the 4th. Mixon, I think I would probably take Joe Mixon over him now. Just knowing what I know, I think Mixon, being taken in the 4th and Stevenson the 3rd, I might flip that a little bit. So if you have a chance to take Mixon, that's cool. But if Stevenson does fall to that 4th round, I will say scoop him up if you can, especially in a 12-team league. If he falls that far, I definitely would take him at that point because the potential outweighs the basement. The ceiling outweighs the basement for sure. So I still think he's going to get those yards, and especially in PPR, I think he's going to get some good, solid work out of that as well. So, but I don't know. What do you think about Zeke, man?
Whew. And so I love it. I love the signing because I traded Stevenson last year, and he was going to be my keeper. And now the guy that I traded him to was going to have Stevenson as his keeper. So I'm thrilled that they made this move so that my trading my potential keeper doesn't come back to bite me as much. Because I'm in 100% agreement, and I think it's something that's really kind of getting slept on is the impact that Dak can have, or Dak that Zeke can have is like. I know everyone looks at, like, the yards per carry, and it's like, oh, he's got nothing left in the tank, and blah 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 blah. And like you said it, like, the guy's a touchdown machine. Let me just list off some running backs that Zeke had more touchdowns than last year. The league leading rusher, Josh Jacobs. Zeke had well, just as many touchdowns but Saquon Barkley, who had a career resurgence, and everyone's like, oh, and he's going number 5 overall, 4 overall. Tony Pollard, who everybody loves. Zeke had more touchdowns than him. Christian McCaffrey, Zeke had more touchdowns than, like, he was. There's just, the guy has a nose for the end zone. And again, like, I don't think Zeke's going to go out there and get 800 yards. Because I just don't think he's going to get the carries to get 800 yards. But where I worry about him is in those short yardage situations in the red zone. And this one's got a huge impact. What Zeke is known for is for his pass blocking. He's one of the best pass blocking running backs out there, maybe even ever. And Stevenson had a lot of value because once Damian Harris went down, like, he showed himself to be a true 3-down back. Because he can run and he can catch. So now, if he's seeing less of the field on passing downs, I think that really hurts his value, in addition to the lack of red zone touches. So coming into the year, I had Stevenson as, a no-doubter top 10 back in my mind. I would have even said top 7 comfortably. Now, probably like 15-ish, 15 to 18. So yeah. I agree. I'm taking Mixon over him
15?
now.
15.
Yeah.
Like 15 pick or 15, like 15th running back?
15. RB 15.
Okay. That's all right. That's fair.
You think that's too big of a drop?
Maybe not. I'd have to really, like, value it. Yeah, 15's not terrible, I guess.
Maybe 12 to 15.
There you go. That's I want my respect, damn it. I want Stevenson. He deserves it.
I love the guy as a player. I mean, I love him. I just don't see the path. But again, like, I would take Mixon over him. I might still. I don't know about Pollard. I don't know if I'll take Pollard over him. Maybe take a flyer on Najee Harris over him now.
I would take Harris over him.
Yeah.
What about Aaron Jones?
Yeah, Aaron Jones. Yeah, I would, because they're gonna run the ball a lot. I'll take Dameon Pierce over him now. But just some food for thought. But again, like, he went into the 3rd round on ours. If he slips to the 4th or 5th, depending on how your draft shakes out, you can take him there and probably be okay. If he goes beyond the 5th, like snag him. Absolutely snag him.
Oh yeah, that's just stupid to let him fall that far.
Yep.
Let's flip it a little bit though too. Like, what about Zeke? Do you think you take a flyer on Zeke? What if Stevenson? I don't even want to say it, but what if Zeke becomes the main back for some undisclosed reason I'm not going to mention, but because I don't want to jinx the shit out of my team. But what if Zeke gets, because he's already said he's a perfect fit for this team. He loves this team. He's already acclimated to the team very, very well. And Dallas's offensive line was known for being a strong offensive line for a long time. People just keep that tag with them. But honestly, there weren't that great of an offensive line last year. And yeah, like that, and that kind of affected Zeke too. New England, look, I know I'm a homer, I get it, but I'm also pretty honest with my picks. New England's offensive line, if it stays healthy, which it's having some issues right now, and when you and Trent Brown a little bit, but offensive line wise, this line is stacked if they do it right. Like, David Andrews is still a good center. He's one of the top 10 to 15 centers in the league, in my opinion. Trent Brown, Baby Huey's a monster. He's a monster at left tackle when he tries. Michael Onwenu is probably one of the top guard/tackles that nobody knows about. He's one of the most underrated out there. Cole Strange, too, the rookie we drafted last year, left guard. Phenomenal job. He is doing fantastic. Like, this line is set to run quite a bit. And that's something Belichick's always been good at, is setting up the run by passing. I really think I'm not going to go as far as saying both of them will get 1,000 yards because that's just foolish. But I can see Zeke getting 600 to 700 yards in this offense. I can see that, and
Yeah.
I can see him stagging like at least 8 to 9 touchdowns out of this for sure, especially behind that line. One of their best attributes is the run game and how they're able to run block and the strength that they have. So, yeah, personally, I think Zeke's worth a flyer in like the 11th, 10th, 11th round. If you can stack, especially if you have Stevenson, if you want to handcuff that all day, I'm all for it. It doesn't hurt to have him on there. So I don't know. What do you think? Where would you take Zeke at?
The waiver wire. But
You're such a jet, man. Shut the hell up.
I would take him on the waiver wire. Like because here's the deal. Like you're not going to start him even in your flex spot every week, unless if you're in a 12 to 14 team league, maybe.
They invented bench spots for a reason. Not everybody has to start in the beginning.
Yeah, but you can get more value after out of some bench spots. Like what Zeke's fantasy purposes will be, one of those weeks where there's a bunch of people on a bye, and you need somebody to fill in, that'll get you 8 or 9 points. That'll be Zeke. Some weeks he might give you 12. But I would, unless I'm in a deeper league, 12 to 14 team. If I'm in a 14 team, then yeah, sure. I would take him. If I'm in 12, it would have to be late.
So this is just our 10-team league. Let me just ask you this. Would you take him over Deontay Foreman?
Huh. Deontay Foreman.
Chicago.
Chicago.
You got Khalil Herbert. You got the rookie that's over there. You took Deontay Foreman in the second to last round. Would you take Zeke as a flyer in that round instead?
No.
You would take Deontay.
No.
Yeah, don't. You're trying hard. I'll give you credit for that. But there's no way in hell you're going to tell me with a straight face Deontay Foreman's going before Zeke. Deontay Foreman's third on the depth chart, and the Chicago team technically fourth on the depth chart if you want to include Justin Fields, obviously. Compared to Zeke, who has the potential to be a number 2 and take some carry off Steve. No, there's no way. You have to take Zeke as a flyer.
I don't even know why I took the Deontay Foreman. In my defense, I think I had a couple beats that night.
Even like Eli Mitchell went right before Deontay Foreman. Eli Mitchell is a little bit of a closer argument. I still would probably take Eli Mitchell.
Yeah.
But he should have went earlier. But and the last pick was Tyler Algier. I'll take
Algier all day.
That's tough. Now, this is a 10-team league, though. A lot of people, like myself, I'm in 12-team leagues, 14-team league possibly. In a 12-team league, he's definitely worth the flyer. If you have the bench spot, 10 teams, yeah, I can see him in the waiver wire. 12, you have to scoop him up towards the end because you never know. Handcuffs are very valuable. And Foreman, when you took him, I was like, that's a third running back on that roster. I think Zeke's got more value. So that's why I would take him. I would take him towards the end. I'm cool with other people taking kickers, and you take Zeke.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I'm all right with that. And then speaking of running backs showing up on third and fourth on the depth chart is Rashad Penny. So I live close to Philly, right on the outside. And let me just tell you, I don't believe a second of Rashad Penny being fourth on the depth chart. There's just, they wouldn't have went out and signed him. What Rashad Penny is at this point. He's super fast, super strong runner, and he's going to get hurt. But there's just no way that he's fourth on that depth chart. So I know over the last week or two, his ADP has plunged. I still think he's the second best runner on that team. I know the hype right now is Kenneth Gainwell, but Kenneth Gainwell was never more than third string, on Philly before. Penny went in the 10th round in our league. If you're scared about him being 4th on the RB depth chart, I'd say don't be. I would still take him very comfortably in the 10th round today.
All right, so last segment of the night, we've got a segment going on. We're going to call Who You Got. So me and Dave, we had to find 2 players that we conflict a little bit with. So if you're wondering which player you should go with in the draft, kind of hear out our arguments a little bit and see who you've got in this argument. So I've got on my team, I'm drafting him in every league I possibly can. Justin Herbert is my argument tonight. That's who I've got. Dave is going to argue on the behalf of Clemson's own Trevor Lawrence. That's one of his guys that he's trying to aim for. Who's not a bad pick, don't get me wrong, but right off the bat, let's go with why Herbert's better than Lawrence. This is why I've got Herbert.
We're just gonna dive right in, huh? Okay.
Well, what are your thoughts on this?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go ahead.
You like Lawrence, don't you? Let's go with that, I guess.
I do.
Obviously.
As John Q. Public should too. And I will convince you.
Okay, fair enough. So, a few things we'll go over why we like our guy, why we don't like the other guy, and we'll kind of let the audience decide, and hopefully we'll get some votes by the audience and comments and kind of see who's winning this one. Herbert needs no introduction. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league already. And this year, mark my words, Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Herbert is going to overtake Patrick Mahomes this year and be the top quarterback in the league. That's going to happen. So, first thing, kid's got a cannon. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the league after a rib injury in week 2, I believe it was, and still played through it the entire season and owned people. But it's not just his attributes, which obviously everybody knows, but it's the situation he's in. That's one of the best situations you could possibly come by. Right off the bat, you've got one of the top running backs in the league for a quarterback in Austin Eckler. He may not be the biggest running in between the tackles guy, but when it comes to statistics for Herbert, Eckler is fantastic catching out of the backfield. He's a safety valve that every quarterback wishes he had. So Eckler's right. Like a lot of quarterbacks say their safety valve is a tight end. Eckler's easily better than almost every tight end in the league, maybe bar Travis Kelce. So right off the bat, having that dynamic running back's a big solid thing. Another thing that they did this season, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, with their injury history, that's been a big issue for him, and that he doesn't know who's going to be throwing to from week to week. Now they've got Palmer, and now they've got Quentin Johnston, who they just drafted. Love that kid. I think that kid's going to be phenomenal, and I think that's having a 4-receiver offense with Eckler coming out of the backfield, it's going to be fantastic. But this year, this is the main reason that I'm making this argument for Herbert. He's going to be the number 1 quarterback on every statistical category this season because of the offensive coordinator change that the Chargers made this season. They went out and got Kellen Moore from Dallas, who likes to pass the ball, obviously a former quarterback from Boise State. I loved his offense in Dallas. I think he's bringing some dynamic play calling to this new system. I think it's going to switch it up quite a bit. Dallas last season with just CeeDee Lamb, no Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup is, galloping his way out of the league right now. With Dallas, he was able to get them to the 10th best offense and just in yardage alone with Dak and Cooper Rush down the list. Like he didn't even have Dak the whole season. He made Cooper Rush look good. That's not easy to do. Okay, and a running back system where Zeke, everybody was like, oh, he's falling off. The offensive line wasn't as good as it was. Still got them to the 10th ranked offense in yardage all year. But the biggest piece is they were 3rd in the league last year in his offense in touchdowns. That's going to be huge. I can see Herbert hitting the 45 touchdown mark this season. 45 touchdowns is what I've got him going. I'd say he's probably going to have about 9 or 10 picks, maybe a little bit more, not much more. So that'll hurt. But 45 touchdowns is my go-to on this one, including all those catches Eckler's getting out of the backfield. And that's pretty much my case for Herbert. I don't really have to say much more. I pretty much gave you everything. Good offensive line, good offensive coordinator, has all the pieces. What more can you want?
A guy with better hair, with a better arm, and in a better position. So,
okay.
now to be fair, I do like Herbert a lot, right? I think I took him, in our draft, but time goes on, and we all gotta realize the error of our ways. No, I think Herbert will have a fantastic season. Again, part of this is to put you in the position, you the audience, of you might be faced with this problem of, hey, who should I draft? Should I draft Herbert or should I draft Trevor Lawrence? So with that being said, I'm gonna tell you why you should go Trevor Lawrence. Number one, he's going later than Justin Herbert. In our draft, Herbert went in the 4th round. Trevor Lawrence went in the 6th round. I'm not saying that's how it's going to shape out in your draft, but it might. So I think in the 4th round you can probably get a better player that might be more valuable to your roster than filling out your quarterback position, because Trevor Lawrence can help make that gap up. When looking at Trevor Lawrence, last year he was throwing to a bunch of nobodies. Like, I don't care what you think about Christian Kirk, he's not a true number 1 wide receiver. He's at best the number 2, being paid like a number 1. I mean, he's probably a very good 2. He's an awful 1. But he still had a great year because Trevor Lawrence is that damn good. Now they went out and signed Calvin Ridley, who, I know he was out last year, with some gambling problems, but let's not forget that, his last full season, this dude was averaging 13, 15 yards a reception. Like, the dude's a burner. The dude's got wheels. The dude can catch, and he was a problem. He was shaping up to be one of the best wide receivers in the league, and that's coming off of already coming into the league with so much hype coming out of Alabama. So my point here is not that Calvin Ridley is such a great wide receiver that he's going to elevate Trevor Lawrence to the next level. My point here is that now that he has a true number 1, yes, that's going to help him, because Calvin Ridley is a better receiver than Christian Kirk, but it also allows Christian Kirk now to run free as the number 2 that he is, versus having to go up against the opposing team's best corner every game. So now you have a true number 1 who's going to produce more than Christian Kirk did last year, and now you get Christian Kirk in a better situation for him, which is going to work, because what they were doing a lot last year, where Christian Kirk had some of his best games, was when they put him in the slot. They put him in the slot because he's better suited for that, and they have Zay Jones on the outside. But now when Christian Kirk was in the slot, he had some of his best games. So now he's going to get to be in the slot all year long. He's just going to be eating up the targets because he's not going to be getting all the attention. So I think it's just a home run. Signing in multiple levels for Trevor Lawrence. 4,000 yards last year, but he had like 25 touchdowns, I think. I expect all those numbers to go up. And keep in mind, this is only his 3rd year in the league. When do quarterbacks typically make their jump? Their 3rd year. So it's his 3rd year in the league. His 2nd year with Doug Peterson. That's a huge deal for young quarterbacks, having that consistency. And we've seen Doug Peterson turn Nick Foles into a Super Bowl champion. Who'd they play in that Super Bowl? Who'd they
That's all the time we have in this episode, folks. So yeah, we don't like to remember that Super Bowl. Maybe the following one.
So we've seen, and also let us not forget that Doug Peterson wanted to start Jalen Hurts ahead of Carson Wentz. But there was some politics behind the scenes there. But anyway, so like this is a home run. Like I think Trevor Lawrence is poised for a breakout. 25 touchdowns last year I think was a little bit low. I don't know if he's going to get to 45. But if you're saying that Herbert's going to go to 45, I will say that that Lawrence can be in that 40 to 45 range, and I think he's going to push 48, 4,900 yards. So again, when you look at where they're being drafted, you can get near the same value 2 rounds later by taking Trevor Lawrence instead of pulling the trigger on Justin Herbert.
That's not a bad argument. I mean, technically, looking at them side by side in our draft, I don't know, it was me. I took Trevor Lawrence in the 6th round. And 2 rounds earlier, literally the pick right after Herbert was Najee Harris, which is a solid pick for your second back. And then Herbert in the 6th round on that team. I don't know why you did this. You took DeAndre Hopkins, which isn't bad, but I mean, you still could have got a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad argument. You can get more value out of it if Lawrence is going to fall a little bit farther. I don't disagree with you, but this is going to be a season that reminds me of Tom Brady's 50 touchdown season. I mean, that's what it's going to remind me of. He's going to put up that many numbers to where you can't pass that up. I agree. It's good to get that value, but the numbers he's going to put up. So I don't know. I can't see Herbert. And plus Lawrence, like you said, okay, yeah, he's got some chemistry in Doug Peterson, in his offense, but at the same time, he has no chemistry with Calvin Ridley. So who even knows how that's going to work out? We have no idea. The only thing I'm guaranteeing at this point is the touchdown dance of Calvin Ridley is going to be this. Rolling dice, baby. That's his touchdown dance. Other than that, I have no guarantees with Calvin Ridley. I like Ridley. I think he has the potential, but we don't know how they're gonna sync on the same page. We have no idea. However, Justin Herbert has been with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams for quite some time. So and Austin Eckler. So I mean, it's not like he doesn't have chemistry with them at all.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Keenan Allen's getting older, so he's not going to be the same. Who's the other guy? Mike Williams, who's had 47 opportunities to emerge as a number 1 wide receiver, and he can't. And no chemistry. They have a rookie 3rd wide receiver coming in who's got a little case of the dropsies. And then you have Austin Eckler, who also was like, yeah, they should probably use me less. So I don't know. Oh, and then they have like a 97-year-old tight end. So that's usually how you want to fill out your offense. So
if you had to pick an offense, would you take the Chargers offense or would you take Jacksonville's offense?
Oh, Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence all day.
No. Take the quarterback out of it. The offensive pieces, who would you rather take? Would you rather take Chargers or Jacksonville?
Jacksonville. Travis Etienne all day.
Oh, come on. Etienne. Talk about needing to bust out finally. Don't give me that. They just drafted another running back because they're not even sure how long Etienne's going to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another great point on Trevor Lawrence is they drafted Tank Bigsby. So now he's going to be your bruising back and, talk about running the ball to set up the pass. You just don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to run the ball down your throat? Are they going to pass for, 45 times a game? We don't know. They just keep you guessing, man. And that's where T-Law does his best work. When you don't know.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. If you get the opportunity to take one of these players, you're definitely a good boat. Because, don't get me wrong, I have Herbert as QB1. That's how I have him statistically this season. QB1, those are the numbers he's going to put up. Lawrence, I have at QB5. That's not far off. I have Mahomes, Allen, Jalen Hurts. That's it. Those are the only ones that are better than Trevor Lawrence to me right now statistically. So, so it's not far off.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on your league and kind of how your league structures quarterbacks, and also kind of where you're drafting, which strategy that you want to go with. So I mean, I think Herbert can push for QB1 also. But again, my argument here is the value. So if you're in a spot where you can get a strong wide receiver 2 or RB2, but you're worried about your QB, take the RB2 and the wide receiver 2, and then you can draft Trevor Lawrence, a round or 2 later.
Normally, I'd agree with you. I would agree with you. If you can land a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence in round 6, I don't disagree with you. But Herbert's a special breed, and he's gonna light up the scoreboard this season. He's gonna be contemplated as a first round, second round pick next season because of how well he's gonna do. Because not only are the Chargers he's gonna be the number 1 quarterback statistically this year. I see the Chargers winning that division on top of it. So that's another. I overtake the Chiefs, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, smoke!
That's a whole nother conversation. They finally take that leap and go over Kansas City, in my opinion. But you can't go wrong with either one. Luckily, in my draft last week that I was in, you get 2 quarterbacks you get to start every week. I have both guys, so it doesn't matter. So it worked out pretty well for me. So it's still good arguments on both sides. Let us know in the comment section below who you got. Let us know who you're going to be taking this weekend or in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully you're not drafting this weekend so you can know a little bit more about Jonathan Taylor. But I'm excited, man. The fantasy season's here. Football season's right around the corner. We've only got 2 more weeks for that, so that's fantastic. So we appreciate everybody coming on tonight. We got some more episodes coming out before our drafts that are coming up in the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more out to you guys. Also, if you have any questions throughout the season, hopefully we'll be doing a live cast on Sunday morning so we can kind of answer some questions for you guys on who you got and who you want to start or sit. But if you have any questions before that for your drafts, who would you take in this round or toss up or anything like that, throw them in the comments. Let us know. We'd love to answer any questions you guys have in a segment at the end. So, yeah, Dave, anything else?
Yeah, I think you hit it straight on. This is our second episode now. Stay tuned. To our, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then next week we got a couple exciting new segments. To roll out to everybody. I'll let Jeff can tease those out for you.
You still don't remember the name.
I do. I just didn't want to steal it. I just didn't want to steal it and get the credit.
Yeah, lock 'em or block 'em.
Lock 'em or block 'em, baby.
Yeah. Instead of a pick 'em or who you got, us offensive linemen, man, you got to represent. Block 'em or block 'em. We're gonna lock. Who are the locks of the draft, and who are the guys you want to stay away from? So.
Yeah, we got a couple new segments to roll out to you. It'll be fun and exciting. So, looking forward to it. Stay tuned. Check us out.
All right. Well, that's all we've got for you guys tonight. I can't wait to see everybody's comments about how Herbert does and how he's going to be better. But whatever. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, I'm telling you, take Trevor Lawrence, and if Herbert does better, maybe we'll buy you lunch.
Oh man, that was good.